Previously on F1.
Takes the victory. Lewis Hamilton, stunning. That was a devastating performance. He's up in the air.
He's got wide.
But he's lost his front wing. What a race.
We've got an absolute belter here.
Round 18, Abu Dhabi.
There is no mystery. There will be no last gasp heroics on Yas Island.
You are the world champion.
No last year, no drama. We know what we know, that the champion is crowned.
Nothing for granted. And we did it.
Yet there is still much to resolve. Rivalries to escalate.
Contact there.
Scores to settle.
Good job,
And reputations made before we draw that line in the sand. In the desert, there is always mystery. How many have come here in search of answers?
I see you are doing your best, but really it's critical to pass it.
Where will my destiny unfold? On tracks well worn? Or pathways new? Here lie clues, visions of the future, emerging from the twilight in an ancient land. Abu Dhabi.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. And I think you'll be pleased to know that we're not going to talk in riddles all afternoon. Mind you, what a difference a year makes. We arrived here 12 months ago in the midst of the most incredible title battle, and the man who prevailed that day hasn't looked back since, and neither have David Coulthard or Eddie Jordan. And Eddie, it's amazing to think that when we came here a year ago, Sebastian Vettel had never led the Formula One World Championship before. Since then, he hasn't not led it.
Well, that's what you get. This time last year, he became a different person. The persona changed, inner confidence, total belief. And that's what you get with greatness. You know, you can win a race and you can, trundle along and try and do it the same again. But to actually continue to do it, like the way he's done it, it's a different person.
And it's strange to think that Sebastian is a young guy who turned up here having never led the world title before. As we said, he's now been at the top of the tree since then, yet it's been in a season with incredible racing, far more overtaken than before, yet he still managed to dominate. That says a lot about the kind of confidence he gained here 12 months ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, he upped his game incredibly during the course of this year. And when you say he's dominated, he has in terms of pole positions, he has in terms of victories, but it hasn't been the case of, it's not like, in the Mansell era or the Schumacher era where he was almost lapping the field. There's only been a few seconds between him and the guys that have been chasing him. So it could turn around very quickly. And 2 races to go in this World Championship. The World Championship is decided, but in terms of the Formula One World Championship, we've got 2 exciting races coming up, I'm sure.
Indeed we have. And if we have a quick look at the calendar that's been getting us here to this point, well, you can see that the same name keeps on cropping up, and that name is Sebastian Vettel. As we've travelled the globe in the past year, he has led 70% of the races, 17 Grand Prix across all kinds of continents. One man has dominated. Mind you, it hasn't stopped his rivals from coming back for more.
Ah, yes. You better run away, baby. The fire put my spell on you. You better get away, darling. 'Cause everything you heard is true. You're falling hard, pulling up alone. 'Cause Lord knows I'm a rolling stone. So you better run away, baby.
And that is a very brave way to enter the paddock for Heikki Kovalainen, and it's rather strange that Heikki is the man who's been overtaken more than any other driver in Formula One this year, yet he turns up with rather a lot of style, as we saw just there, compared to the man who's led the championship all year. Can't even turn off his own car alarm when he turns up for the race. It's good to know world champions have the same problems as the rest of us, David.
He doesn't. The funny thing is, double world champion, yet he doesn't even look old enough to be driving out on the open road. There's probably some countries where he can't hire a car.
Yeah.
But yeah, clearly a few issues there with his mode of transport.
Yeah, his chances of arriving nice and quietly, not being spotted, were blown to bits just there. But let's have a little chat about the standings and the way that this championship has panned out. Of course, we know it's been Sebastian's year, but let's look at the second spot. Jenson Button. Today he can be crowned the second place man. What would give him more satisfaction? Beating Lewis in the same car or beating Mark Webber in a faster car?
Oh, that's a good question, because I'm not sure what I know whether the answer is. And you know, I think both of them are equally important. I think beating Lewis, no one really gave him a chance of beating Lewis right from the first day he signed. There was remarks like, is he crazy? Is he going into the lion's den? All of these comments were made, labelled towards him, that he would never be able to do it, but he's turned everything around.
Quite clearly, he can't win the championships, so second's the best he can achieve. He'll aim for that, and then he achieves the other 2 points that you made.
There you go. It's all about fighting for what you can get, and you can see the fight there in the Constructors' Championship. It's all about sixth place. Force India, Sauber, Toro Rosso, separated by 10 points, and the prize for sixth compared to eighth is millions and millions. So good luck to those boys who are fighting there. But what could happen in qualifying here this weekend? Well, McLaren turned up and they were the fastest car all weekend. Could they lock out the front row of the grid for the first time since 2009? Well, as usual, there's one good reason why that might not happen. Here's Ted.
With the championship long since decided in Red Bull's favour, it was McLaren who'd been on top in Abu Dhabi all weekend. Sebastian Vettel had struggled since this off in practice, and Lewis Hamilton and a mustachioed Jenson Button had high hopes for pole position, as did their superstar support. It was a hard day's night for the Williams team. Statistics say this was the worst qualifying result for Williams in their entire history, but Rubens Barrichello couldn't attempt a lap due to an oil leak, and Pastor Maldonado did qualify 17th, but starts at the back today with his teammate using one more engine than he's allowed to in a season.
I want to have the whole race tomorrow. Hopefully get it to the end with a smile, because it's been a tough weekend. I haven't done many laps this weekend.
Qualifying was stopped when Felipe Massa misjudged the chicane, sending parts of a bollard into Jenson Button's path. But when it restarted, the Force Indias were on form, making it into the top 10, just behind the Works Mercedes. Paul di Resta's 10th, and with an eye on some points from today's 55-lap Grand Prix.
It's a long race tomorrow, but on our numbers, hopefully we get them right and we can focus on what we want to achieve, and that's the way we went with the car setup. So there's a bit of a compromise in there for qualifying speed.
The scene was set for a keenly contested final few minutes of the session. Ferrari is the third fastest car in F1, so 5th and 6th is about the maximum they can achieve these days. Lewis Hamilton had set a very quick time in Q2, so McLaren's hopes were high. Jenson Button duly went quickest, only to be immediately beaten by Lewis Hamilton by just 100th of a second, around a foot on track. Leaving the garage then, Sebastian Vettel knew just what he had to do. Visor down, the world champion wound himself up and delivered his best lap of the weekend when it mattered most, overcoming the car advantage McLaren thought they had and prompting celebrations in the Red Bull pit. You could hear a pin drop in the garage next door.
Okay, Lewis, all cars are now completed. Vettel just pipped us at the end. You are P2. P2 on the grid.
There is something they do in Q3. In the last run, they switched something on. They've had it for the last 2 years, and there's just that extra bit of time they gain, and I don't know where it comes from, but you know, hopefully next year they won't have that.
We were able to use everything we were allowed to use, and it improved my lap time dramatically, I think, through qualifying. But still not quite enough to challenge Seb.
When the sun goes down, the circuit changes completely when people run new tires, and I felt more and more comfortable. In Q2 we were very competitive, close to Lewis, and I thought that in Q3 if I really get everything together, then we'll have a chance, which was the case. So I'm very pleased with that.
So the records keep falling. 17 front row starts this year for Sebastian Vettel. Lewis Hamilton identifying Red Bull's blown diffuser as the source of their qualifying speed. Jenson Button third, ahead of Mark Webber and Fernando Alonso. Nico Rosberg is targeting Felipe Massa ahead, while Michael Schumacher is set for a race with the Force Indias of Suttel and di Resta. Vitaly Petrov, fastest Renault, then it's Buemi, Senna and Alguersuari. while a bad session for Kobayashi, out-qualified by his teammate by 0.4 of a second. Heikki Kovalainen's best of the young teams, Lotus, Virgin and HRT, while the last row of the grid is all Williams. The weekend can only get better for one of motorsport's greatest names.
Do you guys ever get the impression that you're being watched, maybe? Anyway, a very difficult qualifying session there for Williams, and probably at the worst possible race of the season, Eddie, because they've been chasing investment from the Middle East, and it's not good for them to be right at the back, is it?
No one ever wants to hear those kind of records, you know, the worst ever qualifying. Williams, beyond any doubt, was certainly, as I was growing up, the main team, the protagonist and the people you always looked up to. This will be a shocker for them, because you're absolutely right, they're chasing money in Qatar. They're hoping to have an investment out there. They have already got a technical facility there. This will be dark days for Williams, and they will have to reconvene and see where they go from here.
The last time they started below 22nd on the grid was 1984. Can you believe that? Now, David, a mere mortal like me will never know how it feels to get one pole position in Formula One, let alone 14 in any given season. But this beautiful shot that we saw yesterday can get us about as close to Sebastian Vettel's emotions as is possible.
Yeah, you got to love this. This is exactly what we get in Singapore under the night lights as well. The drivers have a clear visor. And here we get a perfect example of just the forces. Look how he dives in the cockpit when he hits the brake. And look at his head bouncing around there with all the G-force. But the study of concentration, and that's the shot I love. He's crossed the line. He doesn't want to look at his lap time. The lap time is irrelevant. The only thing that is relevant is it faster than the next man? And in that case, it came up on the big screen, which is just down past us here. He saw the screen, and before his engineer told him he had pole, he knew it and he celebrated. So it was a wonderful thing. We didn't see him blink.
No, we didn't, no.
Which is pretty impressive as well.
You're the same. You never blink on live television, I've noticed. It's the study of a Formula 1 driver's concentration.
Is that right?
Yeah, look at that. That's amazing.
I wouldn't want to make any comment.
Well, while Sebastian was getting pole once again, sadly, his teammate was being out-qualified once again. As we speak, Mark Webber is out and about somewhere, enjoying the sights and the sounds of this very popular race. Oh, there he is with the lovely Danny Minogue. However, not even fellow Australian superstars will be distracting him from the job in hand. And a few moments ago, he spoke to Ted Kravitz.
So, Mark, not long for the start now. Who do you have to be careful of? Ferrari's behind, or are you attacking the front?
Well, it's always nice if you can go away where you are. If you can grab something, then great. Yeah, Ferrari always make decent starts, but I think the grid should be pretty even today. So, yeah, get a decent one, and then look to obviously get good runs onto the back straights on the first laps.
Oh, for DRS, do you think it's actually possible to overtake with DRS?
Obviously, no, not on the first 2 laps, obviously. I mean, the first 2 straights, very important to get that right. And then DRS, yeah, I think it's not the easiest venue.
But long run pace, you're right up there with Seb, aren't you?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So, you know, let's see how it unfolds. It's always tricky to try and guesstimate these days. We have our long runs on Friday, then like in Korea, for example, McLaren looked phenomenal, and then we gave them a really hard time in the race. We were actually quicker than them, so see how it goes.
Have a good run. Thanks.
And after that, Mark Webber headed off into the garage, got into his race suit, and here he is leaving the garage just a couple of moments ago, making his way out to the grid. So Mark Webber starts 4th on the grid today. Lewis Hamilton will start from 2nd. And there's been all kinds of questions about Lewis Hamilton this season. However, in qualifying, he's absolutely been on it in the last few races. He was on pole position a few races ago in Korea. He was the 2nd quickest car in India, and he's on the front row again here this weekend. And this weekend is at a track where you need to qualify well. Well, Lewis, we figured that as this is the circuit where overtaking is notoriously difficult, perhaps you would take us inside your cockpit and give us an idea of overtaking in 2011.
My overtaking's not been that good this year. People see it from up here, and the view you have up here is massively different. So on the computer games, when you drive from up here, it's so much easier than driving from inside the cockpit. I wish your camera wasn't so big, because I could show you what I can see in my mirror, and it's not a lot.
Well, let's start then talking about those mirrors.
They're useless.
I mean, they're incredibly close to you.
We've tried to improve them, stop them flexing, but they flex a lot. So you can imagine down the straight, that thing's doing that the whole time. And at 200 miles an hour, it's just flapping like crazy.
How can you build such an impressive and wonderful Formula One car, but not design mirrors that don't do this?
What you've got to understand is that they have a certain amount of time they're allowed to be in the wind tunnel, and moving these around is worth nothing.
In terms of raw speed on the track?
Exactly. It's very, very, very difficult to see.
Let me see if I can sort of see what you're seeing there. So you're So if I close my left eye, I get a good idea. Well, do you know what?
You get a bit close to me, man.
Do you know what you don't see? You don't see anything apart from your car. And have they been part of your problem with hitting Felipe in particular?
No, because generally Felipe's been in front of me when I've hit him, so...
So do you then feel for Felipe in the last race? Because we saw him looking to the left a couple of times before he took the corner.
He knew I was there.
If his mirrors are as bad as this, maybe he didn't know.
He knew I was there 100%.
Right.
He was defending. It should have just left a little bit more room, then we would have both got through.
In terms of your raw speed and the raw speed of this car, you shouldn't really be anywhere near him on the track anyway, should you, this season?
Exactly.
That's the issue. That's the real issue.
So that's why I've been saying what I've been saying recently. Just I've not put myself in the right position. Jensen has, and you know, that's the way it goes.
Okay, Lewis, great drive, well done. Another podium to add to the collection.
Yeah, whatever.
I bet you never get bored of getting in and out of these cars, do you? When you know you get the chance to race them once you get into them.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
And how tough has it been for you that, for the first time ever, it's looking like the guy on the other side of the garage is going to finish ahead of you in the championship?
It's at the end of the day, he's done a better job, but he's in a much better place than me. You know, he's got. You look at him; he has his dad there all the time. He doesn't get involved in his business.
Yeah.
He's got, in terms of racing business, you know, he's got his manager there all the time. He's got his friends.
He's got his girlfriend.
He's got his girlfriend there all the time. He's in a much happier place than me.
I suppose the most important thing for you is not to get to the end of your Formula One career and have not enjoyed it because of outside influences. You know, this is such a transient life for you drivers. It comes and goes in a flash, this career.
It does.
It's so important to...
I think you've got to enjoy it with your family. You've got to enjoy it with the people you love, the people that got you there and the people you care about. And just sometimes it doesn't always work that way, but I'm certain that in the future things will work out.
World champion.
And when they do, I'll be in the same position mentally as Jensen, and you know what's happened. Every year when I've been in that position, I've never had any problems with my teammate. I know that when I get it sorted, I'll be there fighting. So.
Okay, well, not the season you would have dreamt of at the start, but hopefully this can be the season that you use to motivate you for the rest of your career. Hey?
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, David, Lewis there clearly talking about his own happiness as the sun gets in your eyes as it starts to go down here. The drivers will have that problem, of course, once the race starts before the sun finally drops below the horizon. What kind of bubble did you have around you when you were driving? What kind of support network did you have?
Well, I never considered having a bubble around me. I just made sure that all the boxes were ticked. You know, you had to have the right trainer who would make sure that all of your kit was ready, you were physically ready. I made sure that, you know, if there was any management issues that were needed, then that was all addressed ahead of the weekend, so it wasn't distracting what was going on. So, you know, the relevance of having a manager there is really just to keep away any discussions from the driver. You're here to focus on driving the car to its maximum. Lewis Hamilton is a tremendously talented racing driver. He's a world champion. So all of those observations, quite frankly, would suggest he's looking too much at the rest instead of just sort of looking at what he needs. You know, whatever it is that he needs to put him in a happy place, that will allow him to deliver the sort of performances that he consistently achieved in the first part of his career.
I think what he's also saying, though, is without that support network around him, Eddie, he can't do it on his own with the scrutiny of the public, being constantly compared against his teammate. He's clearly saying he needs people around him as Jensen does.
He is, but I might be using it a little bit as a crutch just at the moment. My guess is, first you must have the ultimate speed, then the talent, and then there is a sequence of on the ladder of how you go up. He has all of those. I think he's just perhaps been super critical of the last link. He and his management should be able to sort this out together. He's decided to go into a different direction rather than his father. I personally like the parental control, but that's just my opinion. And I think Lewis will be there. I think this will just work its way out through his head. He will emerge as probably a better driver because of this downturn. Okay, well, I'm sure he'll feel good about getting so close to pole position yesterday, but what it means we have here is an identical start-up to the way we had it back in 2010 with Sebastian Vettel on pole, Lewis right behind him. And if we take a look at the start from a year ago, we can see here, and we'll ride on board with Lewis in just a moment, he had a really good nibble there at Sebastian, didn't he? He had a good go.
Yeah, I think I can remember that. I certainly can't see it on the monitor because we've got such a bright sun behind us. But yeah, he looked like he made a better start, if I recall. And I think we're going on board with him here now. A little bit of wheel spin at the last part, but yeah, he was able to deploy KERS once the car's above 100 Ks. almost got up the inside, kind of reminiscent of what we saw with him and Felipe Massa in India, but this time he was able to back out of it and not make contact. And then obviously the race played out from there, and as we remember, that was the crowning glory, the first World Championship for Sebastian Vettel.
So a nice battle unfolding between teammates at McLaren at the moment. The same applies to Mercedes as well. 5 points between Michael Schumacher and Nico Rosberg. And just after that start back in 2010, Michael had a moment that I'm sure he'd rather forget. So he's got no experience really of racing around this track, Eddie.
Well, he hasn't, and you come back to the situation, the Titanic battle. Look, there's a Force India. I think it was Subtle running into him. Look, coming back to the current situation at the moment, it is ridiculous to think that Michael Schumacher can try to tell us that he doesn't care whether he finishes in front of his teammate or not. That is absolute nonsense. There's nothing more burning away inside him than beating Rosberg. It is a matter of fact. He denies that, of course, but we'll see how it unfolds. But my guess is he'll be trying so hard today, and indeed in Brazil, that he wants to beat him. OK, and I know that Michael would love to have a strong race because it's 17 years to the day since he was crowned the Formula One World Champion. I wonder what Martin Brundle was doing back in 1994 on this day. Martin?
I don't know, on this day I was just finishing driving for McLaren at the time. I wish I was driving for them today. Lewis Hamilton on the front of the grid, Jenson Button third. We'll try and talk to some of those. 100 years ago, actually, this was known as the Pirate Coast on the trade route to India, and there's a few bandits on the grid here today, and a few of them very keen to beat Sebastian Vettel. He's standing over there. Let's see if we can zoom in and have a quick word with him. I know he's got a queue of media standing waiting to talk to him, like a huge queue. Kai Abel's already in there, so we'll go back to talk to Jensen first and see if we can then double back and have a quick word with the pole sitter, the man who broke the records, of course. And where might we find Jensen? I'm tripping over him, actually. Talking to his engineer, Jakob Andreasen. JB.
Have we still had loads of time left?
Sorry, mate. Didn't mean to interrupt you. How's it going? Can you beat this Red Bull today?
Well, that's the aim, yeah. I mean, I think the last few races we've been pretty strong. Not quite strong enough to beat Sebastian and Red Bull, but very close. And every race we come into hoping that we can challenge him and hope that we can overturn their dominance. But it's been difficult. But I think this race is a race that we're closer than we have been. In testing, the long runs were pretty good. So I'm looking forward to it today.
Now, would I be right in thinking that Lewis has got a longer seventh gear than you've got, so he might have more straight line speed than you in the race? Might help him over you or not?
Helps him in qualifying more than anything else. But in the race, I chose my gear for the race. So.
Okay, so you're really happy with that decision then. And anything you can tell us about the track on the way around? I mean, obviously temperatures are falling all the time.
It's amazing how cool it is already in the shade, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not sweating much at all. A little bit, probably.
I'm getting fit for next year.
Kicking up a little bit, but apart from that, it's all good. So, no, I mean, the drop in temperature does make it difficult because most people will be running the harder tyre towards the end of the race, and that's when the circuit temperature drops. So it's going to be tricky out there. It's not going to be straightforward.
And does this come off if you win the race, the Movember?
No.
Are you really liking it, are you?
Yeah.
The flavour saver?
Yeah, I like it.
Excellent. I was going to kiss the camera there. I was going to be ill. Right, let's see if we can find somebody back here a little bit. And I'd like a quick word. I know we spoke to Mark Webber earlier on in the programme. I'd like a quick word with Felipe Massa, one of the Ferrari drivers. I was also going to show you, remember I tell you about this yellow line that they have to park on? That's how big and fat the yellow line looks. But actually, as you're supposed to park your front wheel on that, and there's a sensor then underneath the car let into the tarmac, you can imagine the driver's head right down in there. He actually can't see. If you look over that side, even with the car up in the air, you can't see at all where that yellow line is. Sorry, I'm treading on your toe. I didn't mean to do that. And so, yeah, it's not quite as simple as parking in the supermarket as you might imagine. Oh, there's plenty of space around here. Let's see if Felipe Massa is on the grid and available for a quick chat. We're getting a little bit late into the programme now. Is Felipe around?
I don't know where Felipe, I think he's coming back.
And what's happening, Luca, with your cars? You got any chance of staying with Red Bull and McLaren today?
I think, yes, why not? We showed that in the race the car is better than in qualifying. So we see all the last few races that we can be competitive for the podium. I think if we do everything perfect, we can make it.
And you've changed that flappy front wing, yeah, on Felipe?
But you see, that looks like a contagious problem. Someone else had it, so it's a learning process we are doing. It's better to anticipate here in the last part of the season and then even testing beginning of next one.
Good thinking. See you. Nico Rosberg is down here somewhere, and he is Sir Jackie Stewart there making his way through the grid. Felipe, how's it looking?
Your camera missed you.
I know, yeah, I just got knocked over by my own camera. Try not to get knocked over by your own teammate. You okay? You in good shape?
Yeah, I hope so. So we started 5th and 6th. Hope we can finish better than that.
Lewis is up there a little bit in front of you, so...
We try to finish in front as well.
Okay, have a good one. Right, last effort then to talk to these fine young racing drivers on the grid, and Kai Abel has managed to get his way down here as well, talking to Nico, but we will just got hit by the exhaust. That's the exhaust from the generators that's keeping the tyres. It's unusual. You have to keep the tyres and brakes warm, and you need to keep the engine and everything cold. There's just so many systems here trying to heat up and cool down the right parts. There's Dr. Zetcher here from Mercedes-Benz, and he's heading off over in that direction. And let's see what we can... I think I'm going to have to wrap, because I've got an awful long way to get to the commentary box. Let's just see if Nico, if I can just catch his eye around here like this, and then let's see if he gets the idea to make it a really, really short answer, because I would like to talk to him. Nico, it's lucky you could get to talk to us. How's it feeling?
Feeling is very good. Quite confident for today. My aim today is to try and be one of the Ferraris, and I think it's going to be Massa. And I think it's very possible.
So one of 3 home races for you then, with Arba, who own the place, and Germany, and then
more than
Great
more than that.
Yeah.
There's Petronas in Malaysia, Monaco. My one is there's
right.
loads.
So it's when you don't have a home race, it's more interesting then. So yeah, basically, you've got to try and beat one of the Ferraris. And then if some presents come your way with the front guys running into each other, then you just have to take it and move on.
Yeah, of course. But for now, it's just maybe I can beat Massa in the start. You know, it's very possible actually around the outside here into turn 1. I'll give it a go.
Thank you. He's going to give it a go. So am I. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, Martin. Impressive effort getting hold of Nico Rosberg, and an impressive effort as far as Jenson Button is concerned and his new Go Faster stripe in aid of Movember. Well done to him, a sterling effort. Let's just have a little chat, actually, about Nico Rosberg. He's a driver who's never gone forwards during a Grand Prix. Just explain why that might be.
Well, clearly other people are making better starts and an underlying race pace. He's being outperformed. That would suggest to me, and you only need to look at the qualifying performance between himself and Michael Schumacher. I think he's outqualified him. I think Michael's only been in front of him 3 times this year. He really has been able to get the maximum out of these Pirelli tyres and the maximum out of that Mercedes car. So maybe he's overperforming in quali, and then he's finding his natural form in the race. But clearly Mercedes are out of position in terms of what they would like for the future, and they're just pretty much ticking the box of the last couple of races here and trying to come back next year with a better package.
Meanwhile, Michael Schumacher has struggled a bit in qualifying, but he's made up 42 places at the start this year, the same number of places as years he's been on the earth. And there's Stefano Domenicali, the Ferrari boss. A fair amount of pressure on him and on the team. We've heard this week from the main boss at Ferrari, Luca Di Montezemolo, once again saying that things need to improve at Ferrari. It really is the title or nothing for them, but we said that last season, we'll say it again next season.
Well, so much is expected of Ferrari because they've been there since the formation of the World Championship. Whether there's more pressure on Stefano Domenicali than any other person in that team, frankly, I doubt it. He's been part of that system for a long, long time. He doesn't design the car. It's down to the designers, the technical staff. He's obviously got to be there to put those people in place. But they've made some changes. Pat Fry has joined there from McLaren, and now it's a question of what can he do during the winter.
OK, and there's Sebastian Vettel making his way back to the grid in a very familiar position. Of the 18 races so far this year, he's started on the front row 17 times. That man certainly knows where to put his car. And right now, another man who's out on the grid is Eddie Jordan. Eddie, who are you with?
Well, I love being back here at the back of the grid because you never know. All the surprises, they're all here. And who have we found? Ronaldo, 3 times World Soccer Player of the Year. And I can only assume when I think of Brazil, I think of 2 names. I think of the great Senna and the great Ronaldo. Are you here with one of the Sennas?
Sorry?
You are here with Bruno, I understand.
Yeah. I come just support Bruno because he's a good friend.
Do you really like motor racing? I know in Brazil, the 2 sports, motor racing and football. Is that the way you feel about life?
Yeah, I really like it. I love it. Formula One for me is the best. So my first time was 1996 in Barcelona. Nice to be here.
It's a great pleasure to see you. I hope you bring lots of luck to Bruno, because I think he might need some today in the fight. We're going to have a little walk around, because the big fight is actually... Well, here we got Buemi, Sebastian, if I can find him. I'm pointing at him, which I shouldn't really do, but I'm muscling in here. Sebastian, big fight for the last 2 races between you, obviously Sauber, Force India, and you've got this new speed. What's the upturn in this car like?
I mean, we are having a good end of the season now, like you said. We are having a new exhaust, which is seem to give us a bit more downforce. So now we need to keep pushing. I mean, 2 points. We just need a few points to be in front of Sauber, and then Force India is a little bit far now, but everything is possible. They are starting in front, but we have a good race speed, so we will see.
But traditionally, we've seen this is more difficult to pass here, and you haven't had quite the qualifying you wanted. So, have you got a strategy that you can tell us that you're going to employ?
Yeah, we have a good DRS.
So there you have it. Sebastian Buemi, we wish you lots of luck. It's a real battle. This is the battle that I'm particularly looking for. The fight for 6th place.
OK, thanks very much, Eddie. Disappointing, though, qualifying yesterday for Toro Rosso, and someone's in trouble. They could have told Ronaldo, instead of coming all the way here to Abu Dhabi, we're in Brazil in 2 weeks' time. He's made an unnecessary effort, but there you go. Well done to him for making the effort of coming out here to the race. Now then, let's have a little look at just the difference between being at the very front and being almost at the front, because thousands of man-hours and millions of pounds have gone into Lewis Hamilton's McLaren and Paul di Resta's Force India. However, for most of the season, there's been about 2 seconds between them. So just what is the difference between a fast car in Formula One and a very fast car?
It's a 3.5-mile, 21-turn lap. Let's take a look at it from the cockpits of 2 young British drivers on great form in different cars, but both Mercedes-Benz powered. Lewis Hamilton on the left for McLaren and Paul di Resta on the right for Force India. Into turn 1, 100 miles an hour is the minimum speed through there. Very similar lines, di Resta slightly wider. Remember, the McLaren has more downforce and grip. Hamilton, more experience and confidence. 185 miles an hour, cascading down the hill into turns 5 and 6. A little bit of a filter that lines the cars up and the approach to the hairpin. At the end of the first sector, the McLaren is already well ahead. Let's move Paul di Resta into line as we head into this 45 mile an hour turn 7 hairpin. A long straight ahead, one of the 2 DRS zones in the Grand Prix. Similar horsepower, of course, from the Mercedes-Benz engine. This is actually the lap from qualifying 2 for Hamilton that was fast enough for pole position. Heavy braking, 5 times the force of gravity at the end of this straight, and Hamilton's got so much more confidence on the throttle much earlier, carrying speed through that chicane into the second long straight and the second DRS zone for the race. So through that one chicane and long straight, Hamilton's already pulled out several car lengths as we go over this new piece of tarmac. We'll move the Force India forward once again as we approach the turn 11 braking zone at 200 miles an hour. Very similar lines again, but also Hamilton able to press the throttle much earlier and harder, carry greater apex speed through these difficult off-camber corners. A couple of long sweeping right-handers now, and Hamilton's already gained another corner through this phase of the lap. The McLaren clearly superior to the Force India around this Abu Dhabi Yas Marina circuit. 4 corners to go then, 2 left-handers and 2 rights. And once again, the McLaren just glancing through those curves, carrying extra miles an hour on the apex of the corners. The long sweeping turn 20 and the difficult turn 21 into the pit straight tightens through the exit. Both drivers have done a fine job. It's a missed pole position, but still a front row for Lewis Hamilton, and Paul di Resta starts 10th.
And Eddie's back from the grid. He's joining me here in the paddock. And Martin kept making the point there that both drivers were doing pretty much the same thing. A stark example of no matter how hard you try, no matter how much talent you have in the case of Paul di Resta, if the car's not got the speed, then you haven't got the speed.
Well, first thing I will always say to anyone new to motor racing, the best drivers usually wind up in the best cars. That's what happens. And to come back to the story, in fact, Lewis's car is clearly better. That doesn't make him a worse or a better driver. The fact is that Paul is going through the motions. He is working on his career just like most other drivers do, and they will get up to it. This is also different to any other sport where the actual machine, whether it's the tennis racket, the golf club or whatever, in this case it's a motor racing car, plays about 80% of the overall package. Sometimes that's a little bit difficult to comprehend.
Okay, well, just a couple of minutes until we hand you over to David Coulthard and Martin Brundle. So let's discuss how we think this race is going to pan out. Now, Paul di Resta again not running the car in the final part of qualifying to save the softer tyres. It's not going to be the kind of race that we saw earlier in the season with multi-stops. We think just 2 stops. So these teams are getting used to working with these Pirelli tyres and not letting them cause too many problems during a race, aren't they?
Well, they are. They're getting, it's like anything else, you know, whether a kid, as they grow up, they get clever, smarter, they know how to fool their mum a little bit, and then they take advantage. This is exactly what's happening here.
OK, and a quick look at the DRS zones for this race. We know that not only is there 2 DRS zones, but overnight the FIA extended the first zone by 75 metres. There are some serious worries that even with this DRS detection and even with the new tyres, we may well struggle to see some overtaking here.
Well, the one thing that they need here more than anything is excitement. Like most races need excitement. And here, to get the maximum excitement, they've increased it. What is it, 75 metres or something like that, which gives that little extra momentum. It doesn't sound much, but that'll be enough to make the pass move. OK, and we saw yesterday back home in England that world champions can be beaten. Can anyone beat Sebastian Vettel here today, though? What do you think? I think lightning only strikes once, they say. Is that what it is? I wouldn't bet against Vettel at this stage. Yes, I know that, you know, particularly Lewis needs and wants desperately to win this race. We'd love to see it. We'll have to wait and see.
OK, Eddie, thank you very much indeed. Well, we came here last year. We had high hopes for the title being won. That happened, but what didn't was a dramatic race packed with overtaking. Since then, things have changed in Formula One. We've seen a dramatic season. The question is, will all the new aids help the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to impress? It's time for the penultimate race.